What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Good Morning Tottenham. Good morning to everyone out there. Quite a bit of news to get through today, actually, and let's start off with the situation out in South America with Celso, Romero, Davinson Sanchez, as they have now all been released from international duty. It was all like up in the air yesterday, as Martinez and Buendia were both released. There was no news on Celso and Romero, and we're like, what's going on? Why are these Villa players released and not the Tottenham players? But it was released later that day that the Tottenham players were released as well, and they'll be joining Davinson Sanchez on in Croatia to set their 10 days quarantine before arriving back in the UK, and they will be available for the Chelsea game, it looks like now.
Yeah, which is positive. I think that puts an end to it for now until the next international break, which is not even that far away next month. But I think it's a good thing. Because there was talk of them staying for the Bolivia match. Even earlier yesterday, beginning of the day, there were a lot of quite reliable sources stating that Celso and Romero were going to stay, and Martinez Buendia had been released, and I'm not sure what the difference was there between the two. Maybe they think Romero and Celso are more important. I don't know. It was a very strange thing, but they have been released now. So they got their 10-day quarantine. Well, apparently the whole situation has really strained relations between the players and the football club in not a positive way, because obviously Aston Villa actually did agree to release Buendia Martinez on international duty. Spurs actually flat out denied to release them, and they pretty much defied what Spurs wanted and defied their orders, basically. And Spurs have been seen to be like vindicated after what's happened out in Brazil for their stance of not allowing the players to go. So apparently they're in for quite a frosty reception on return to Tottenham in 10 days' time. And also, even this compromise of going to Croatia, it has been said that Tottenham also didn't find this ideal either. It was just the best of a bad situation, because, you know, out in Croatia, they're training there for 10 days, and that's going to take additional resources from Tottenham. You know, coaches either going to have to fly out to Croatia as well, or have to manage those three players separately on Zoom or something to keep their fitness up, and that's just an extra kind of burden on the club leading up to important games after international break that they probably don't need, which is also another reason why they really didn't want the situation to unfold the way it has. But unfortunately, it looks like, look, this is how it has happened. Emi Martinez was speaking. I don't know if you saw these quotes yesterday to TYC Sports. He was saying none of us understood what happened on the pitch. We've never seen this kind of thing. He said it's a shame for South American football, and in explaining why. In explaining what the situation was, he in terms of quarantining in Brazil, he said Aston Villa did not understand the Brazilian regulations and why it happened. It's not something the world expected to see. He said the four of us decided to come for the love of the shirt, even though all the Premier League did not want us to come. We decided to come anyway. After winning the Copa America, the whole team wants to be with the group, not just give the national team a victory. It's something beautiful that we have, and we assume the consequences. So it seems like they knew there would be consequences to their actions, and they just thought, to hell with it, we're going anyway. And I guess after winning Messi that trophy in the summer, maybe they feel like a real strong part of that group, and they're just desperate to be part of it again. Maybe it's different to like other. Maybe they feel in a different way to like other people being called up for that international duty. They feel like they're part of something like big, like in Messi's journey. I think.
Do you think it's anything to do with Messi? Do you think it's anything?
I think so, yeah.
Do you think it's any different to kind of any other players getting called up to their country?
I think it is.
I don't see the difference.
I think that's how they feel. They feel it is
a duty to Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
You think so?
Not just to Messi, but to
Surely
be part of that group.
Think about the teams who've won aren't they?
Yeah, but the teams who won the tournament, I think they just love being part of that group, I guess.
I don't know. I just think they're patriotic guys, and they just want to play for their country. And I think there's two ways you can look at it. There's the way of the players thinking like they just want to play for their countries, and that's completely fair enough. I mean, at the end of the day, what tie, apart from like personally, they got ties to Tottenham because that's the club they play for and that's who's paying their wages. But their biggest tie is going to be with their country, isn't it? Over their club. It's not like us where we love our club more than our countries. They're not fans of Tottenham Hotspur. They're on the payroll of Tottenham Hotspur and they're players of Tottenham Hotspur, but they're very patriotic guys. They love playing for their country and it's the pinnacle of their career kind of thing. So that's that.
Oh, man.
That's that.
We have some bad breaking news. Apparently.
Yeah, I heard it's not too bad, though.
Are you sure?
I'm hearing he's out for this game, but he'll be all right. He'll be all right.
From
I'm
who?
Not sure. That's just what I was reading last night. I heard about this injury last night, and I heard about it after the last South Korea game.
It says Son has sustained the injury whilst away with South Korea. He sprained his right calf muscle and has been excluded from the next friendly against Lebanon. The Korean FA have confirmed. A sprain shouldn't be too long, but it could be. Who knows how bad that could be? I guess you don't know till scans come in, all that kind of stuff. He's out of the next friendly. Hopefully, it won't be too bad. But that's some bad breaking news there coming out.
If he is out for this weekend, bloody hell, Celso, Romero, Son, Sanchez. I mean, we're really wearing thing for this weekend, aren't we?
Yeah, not good. A lot of players missing. But you've got other players like Gil or have to see it as an opportunity to stake a claim for the first team.
You think this is just a tactic from Levy to try and pull these players out of international duty?
Yeah, I wish maybe. I won't put it past him. We'll see how bad it is. But the Korean FA just putting out a statement today saying he has received an injury and he will miss the next game. They haven't confirmed anything else yet. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
I actually think it'll be a really good opportunity for Bryan Gil playing against the Palace side that like defending, and like squeezing up the pitch, making a really tight space for players. I think Bryan Gil could thrive in a game like that. I really believe that.
He should see it as an opportunity, or maybe it'll be interesting to see him if he does play. It'll be interesting to see how he copes with the pressure of starting in a Premier League game. That would be nice to see. I wouldn't mind seeing that. But obviously, Sonny is such a good player. You don't want to see him out.
Of course, you don't want to see him out. But we can't panic if he's out for 1 or 2 games. I mean, the Chelsea game will be a massive loss, but we should be able to get past Palace without Sonny.
You'd think so.
You'd
think so.
If we couldn't get past a team like Palace without Sonny, we're in trouble this season.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. So that's the news on Heung-min Son at the moment. There's nothing. There's no updates yet in terms of how bad the injury is. So no point stressing just yet. But he's sprained his ankle apparently on international duty and is out for the next friendly.
But back on this the Spurs and South American situation. It's hard to kind of think too harshly of the players. It really is, because they're just want to play with their country, and they're just and it's not only just want to play for their country, but this is Argentina against Brazil, man.
Yeah,
this is no just any standard game. This is like when they're growing up, this is the game that they probably dream of playing in, Argentina Brazil. So it's hard to knock them back too much, and I feel like when they come back to Tottenham, yes, they'll get fined and they'll get their kind of talking to from Tottenham, but it'll be brushed under the carpet under a day or two.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
I have no.
The problem is how it affects. It's not just now; it's how it affects things going forward. Because are they going to do the same thing in October, and then November, and then they're going to miss lots and lots of Premier League games they're going to be missing. And it's like the Spurs are like paying their wages, and they're missing all these games on international duty. That's the biggest worry, I guess, from a Tottenham point of view. I understand their situation and their stance. I completely understand it, and I don't blame them so much for doing what they did and accepting the consequences. Because I guess that they've decided, look, we're gonna go, and to hell with the consequences, basically.
Yeah.
And that's their decision, and I respect that. But it's about this situation can't continue. There has to be some sort of compromise from somewhere, because it seems like Tottenham are the only team missing out here.
Yeah,
it seems like Spurs are the only team getting screwed over in the whole Premier League. Everyone else is, refusing.
Villa as well, no?
Yeah, but Villa agreed to it. We didn't even agree to it. You know what I mean? If it seems like It seems like we're the ones who, like, out of everyone in the Premier League, Spurs are the ones being screwed the most, and it's the most frustrating thing.
It is, but what can you do? We're in the same situation as Villa, just they agreed to it, we didn't agree to it. So, I mean, it's a difficult situation.
Everyone else is, not having any problems with keeping their players at home, but we are.
Who kept their players at home?
Whoever's on, I can't remember. Whoever's on red list countries.
Like who though? I don't understand. I know the Brazilian.
Cavani didn't go.
Cavani didn't go because that was a special situation where the Uruguay coach literally cared about the welfare of the players before anyone else, and that's the way it should be. To be honest, the Uruguay coach absolutely played it spot on. You know, he called up Cavani originally, and then he realised what Cavani would have to go through to play for Uruguay, and he was like, you know what, I'm not going to call up Cavani now. And that is what they should all done. That is what the managers of all the kind of South American countries should have done.
Yeah. The AFA need to be more understanding in this situation, but they weren't at all. They couldn't give a crap about Tottenham. They basically just said, to hell with Spurs. You know, Romero wasn't even in the squad for the first game.
Oh, was he not?
He wasn't even in the squad. So what was the point of taking him?
Well, they wanted him to play in the Brazil game.
Yeah, but why take him and not put him in the squad?
Because they wanted him to play in the Brazil game.
Yeah, but why take him and not put him in the squad, though?
In the first game, they were going to play him in the Brazil game, and the next game they were planning to, even though they said they were going to release them after the Brazil game. But it's like this Argentina World Cup qualifying campaign. This is to qualify for the World Cup. And as you say, Messi, if they are doing it for Messi, could potentially be Messi's last World Cup.
Correct.
And they're not a foregone conclusion to qualify at the moment.
No, what's the situation?
Like Brazil are way far ahead, but it's, they're there, Argentina, they're there in the conversation, of course, but they're not as clear-cut to qualify as someone like Brazil at the moment. I'll get the qualifying table up at the moment, but from what I was reading, it's not as...
I believe I believe for the qualifying stage, it's different to Europe. Like there's just like one big... There's like two big groups or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know how many teams qualify from the...
So this is it. I think it's top 5 qualify, I think, or something.
Top 5.
Or top 4. I can't really... Doesn't really say. But either way, Argentina...
Pretty sure it's top 5, yeah.
Argentina are second on 15, and Colombia are 10th on... 5th on 10 points. So there's 5 points between them.
And who's in 6th?
It is. Paraguay are in 6th with 2 points below that. But there's a lot of games to go still. So it's not like a foregone conclusion. They need to get their qualification wrapped up. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying they don't. I don't blame them for that. I'm not saying they should take it easy. I'm just saying they brought Romero around and they didn't put him in the squad for the first game. It didn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense. But clearly, they're kind of managing his injury, coming back from injury, and they wanted him to play in that Brazil game, which mattered most to them.
So this article from The Athletic says the trio will miss Saturday's match at Crystal Palace and most likely next Thursday's Europa Conference League trip to Rennes, but will be in contention for the home games against Chelsea on September 19. When they do return to London, Celso, Romero and Sanchez can expect a frosty reception at Hotspur Way. The fallout is likely to get messier and messier with international breaks in October and November, followed by further breaks in the second half of the season, could be a defining theme of the season. That's the most worrying thing. It says Spurs are extremely frustrated at how the situation played out. They believe they made it clear to the players they didn't want them joining up to the Argentinian squad with or without the Croatian compromise, and that their stance has been vindicated by Sunday's events. For Celso, Sanchez and Romero, this risks damaging relations with their club. That's especially regrettable situation as Romero has only just joined Tottenham and was viewed as the most important summer signing.
I think the beef has got to be with the Argentinian FA, not with the players. I think surely they were putting pressure on these players to travel. When you look at the Brazil squad, like you say, there was no kind of English players in there, were there? Premier League players. So you got to say that the Argentinian FA is culpable. I don't think it's the players. Obviously, the players have their own kind of free will and all that kind of stuff, but I think they were being put pressure on from the other side.
Yeah, and I don't blame them, but I guess they shouldn't. Yeah, I don't think they should. I do agree they should be fined, because I think that's just a consequence of your action. You defied the club, you have to be fined. I think that's natural. But I think that's just something that you got to accept when you're defying the club like they have. I don't blame them for defying the club. I just think they have to accept that that's the consequence, and you know, for going against what the club's wishes are and what the club told you to do. You have to accept that, I think, and I don't blame Spurs. I think Spurs also have to find them. That's the nature of the reality. But it's just such a, I think from a fan's point of view, it's the most frustrating situation to witness, because like you want your best players available to see, and you want your best for the club, and it's like. It's just such a fun, like we're in such a good way, you know, winning the first 3 games, and all this stuff, all this like negative attention's coming towards Tottenham and some of their players now, and it's just something they don't need at the moment.
It's not, but you know, you win this game this weekend and it's all forgotten about, isn't it, really?
Correct, we have better win then.
Yeah, we have to win.
Alright, and it says at Tottenham, there are likely to be consequences for Romero and Celso and Sanchez, as well as a potentially soured relation with the players and the club. Spurs are likely to take a dim view of how Argentina's management have handled the situation. There have been regular dialogue between the AFA and Tottenham's hierarchy since the start of the international break, but they were left in the dark until late in the day on Monday about whether Lo Celso and Romero would stay in Argentina. They were also blindsided last week when Scaloni said that he expected all of his squad to be available for the Bolivia game. Spurs have been left regretting the fact that as soon as their players joined up with Argentina, they were left powerless in shaping what Lo Celso and Romero do. Which is probably one of the most frustrating things from Tottenham's point of view. It's probably a difficult situation to manage when, as soon as the players were released internationally, that's it. Like, you can tell them to come back and have all these agreements, but at the end of the day, like, you can't. You are powerless in that situation. That's probably hard for them to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, I think that once the players did go and defied the orders of the club, I mean, wasn't it already planned that they would leave after the Brazil game, quarantine in Croatia, and that's exactly what's happened.
I reckon the Argentina camp were trying to get them to stay for the Bolivia game. I think that's clearly what happened. That's clearly what happened, but luckily they came to some sort of agreement to let them go beforehand. But I think because earlier in the day yesterday they were reporting that they were going to stay, and then they all of a sudden they're releasing info.
So not that powerless then, because they got them to release them after the Brazil game.
And then they were talking about. They said they confirmed Martinez and Buendia releasing. It's like, okay, something's going on here. They haven't talked about a thing about Lo Celso and Romero, but luckily it's all panned out okay in that sense.
It was interesting what Ali Gold was saying yesterday. There was a quote from him saying that these players were not too keen to go to their international duty. Did you see that?
There was one. He said one of the 3 players. Didn't specify who.
I reckon it was Sanchez. You know.
You reckon?
I reckon Sanchez.
Why?
And people are saying Sanchez got booked in the last game to be suspended for the 3rd game.
Someone's saying Romero was suspended for the first game.
Ah, well, there you go.
There you go. Mane played for his country. Salah didn't, but no Brazilian UK-based player
Salah did
travelled.
play for his country.
He did, but not on the red list.
No.
So he agreed to not play on the game in the red list. What's this? Latest, the Korean FA revealed that Tottenham forward suffered a strained calf muscle in training on Monday. However, they insist his absence against Lebanon is purely precautionary. That's positive.
Yeah, so I mean, I saw this news about he pulled something or something happened after his last game. I mean, he played 90 minutes, but he had a bit of a niggle after the game, is what they were saying. And then a few days later, I can't remember where I saw the report from, said it wasn't serious at all. So hopefully it is just a precaution. Because look, as much as I was saying before that if we can't beat Palace without Son, then we should be really worried. We do need Son because he's our most important player, if not one of our most important players. And he's one of the talismans in the team. So we really hope Sonny is not injured.
Yeah,
we really do.
I think purely precautionary, and which is positive. So it seems like he'll be all right. And then there's been an update in terms of the 3 players in Croatia, travelling to Croatia. Dan Kopac has just reported that Spurs have sent a conditioning coach to Croatia to work with the Argentines and Sanchez, who are expected to be back in La London on September the 16th in time for the home derby against Chelsea on the 19th of September. So that is positive news, and I think that's probably the right thing to do. It's probably to get a conditioning coach out there.
Definitely.
It's more resources, but you need to make sure these players are, as soon as they come back to London, they're fit, they're match fit.
Yeah.
And that the best way to ensure that is to get someone out there, because I think doing it over Zoom puts too much reliance on players to do their own work. And I think you probably need a coach there to make sure they're doing the right
Jose
things.
Mourinho knows not to do that at Tottenham.
Definitely not. Exactly. We definitely can't rely on these players to do their own fitness work, that's for sure. So, we've sent a fitness coach out to Croatia, so that's positive.
All right, so that's that kind of that news. Let's get through some super chats. Jerome saying, sorry, but 9 Brazilian players that are playing in the Premier League did not go to international duty. Why are Celso, Romero, Buendia and Martinez any different? The reason why they're any different is because they're under the AFA and not the Brazilian FA. That's the difference here. The Brazilian FA didn't force those players to come and travel. The Argentinian FA pretty much did. That's the difference.
I guess Brazil are also in a stronger position in their group, so maybe they just don't feel the need to force players to come. Whereas the AFA, I still think they're in a pretty strong position looking at the table, but maybe they feel like they still need that extra bit of insurance to get through. They
do, yeah. Until you're like a few points ahead in the league, you know, it's hard to say, yeah, look, we're qualified and take it for granted. Kev Williams with the super chat saying Liverpool told 4 players they were not allowed to leave, or they were not to leave.
Yep.
And Mintu Lee with the super chat saying my national team have a striker who turned down the call up because his wife gave birth this week. Before, I'm more bothered than that. Romero, Giovanni and Sanchez. Not cool what they did, but also not cool if they didn't go.
So it's a lose-lose situation then.
Exactly. I
Yeah,
think that's what they call between a rock and a hard place, no?
Yeah. I do feel bad for these players and their situation that they've been put in. But I think they've also got to have some understanding of the situation, that the club's in as well. I think they just completely disregarded that, which isn't cool. I think, the way they just said, look, we're going anyway, regardless of what you say. Like, they didn't have any sort of regard for what the position Tottenham were in with them losing these players, which is also difficult. But
what if the Argentinian FA or the manager said, if you don't come, you're not in the World Cup plans? Stuff like that.
Yeah, obviously, if they said that, then then it's an impossible situation, isn't it? It's impossible. They have to go.
If they're getting that sort of pressure on them, it's nuts, isn't it? It's nuts. I mean, they got no option if they're doing that. Literally.
Yeah. If they were threatened like that, then they have no option. I would have gone if they was threatened like that if I was Celso or Romero, because at the end of the day, what's 1 or 2 games compared to a World Cup? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Playing for your country in a World Cup is supposed to be the pinnacle.
Yeah, especially for the people as patriotic as the Argentinian players.
Exactly.
So I don't blame them for that, but I don't know. Who knows if they were really threatened like that?
Yeah, very true. People asking about Ndombele news. We've got some Ndombele news we'll bring to you a bit later in the stream. But let's move on. Let's talk about...
Well, someone said, GK Clarkey says they disregarded the health risks. Is that something that plays into it for you?
Well, they did. They did disregard the health risks because they didn't put in their form and they didn't quarantine in Brazil like the rules state. Mm-hmm. I think they literally went behind the Brazil country and authorities back by not kind of claiming that they were in England. I mean, I don't understand how it took 3 days for them to clock onto that.
Doesn't make any sense. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, that made no sense to me. But yeah, that's something to point out as well. But they did do that, and that's why they're probably getting fined. That's the main reason that the Spurs are putting some punishment onto them.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Daniel Levy, as he has been voted on to the European Commission. What is it?
The ESA, the European Club Association.
Yeah, the European Club Association Executive Board. Levy has been voted a seat, and he's taking whose space is he taking? Ed Woodward's space onto the board, which is interesting because he's been voted onto this ESA board, and literally 6 months ago, or however long it was, he was trying. He took Tottenham out the ESA and put them into the Super League. So I don't understand how he's got into this situation.
Yeah, well, he's gained a lot of support. It says Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy is poised to represent the Premier League at the ESA, the influential committee made of Europe's leading sides. Levy and Man City's CEO Ferran Soriano had been vying to replace Ed Woodward on the ESA board after Man United's ex-vice chairman stepped down in April after signing up to join the breakaway Super League. The Tottenham chairman was understood to have won support from Premier League clubs including Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal, and will now stand unopposed on Tuesday afternoon. Levy's place at the top table among European clubs comes just 5 months after Spurs were one of the clubs to quit the ESA after committing to join the Super League. After a pros competition crumbled within days, 9 of the 12 clubs who agreed to join the Super League were reinstated by the ESA in August. Real Madrid, Barcelona and Juventus remain committed to the breakaway Super League. Woodward was also the ESA's representative on UEFA's Professional Football Strategy Council, although it is yet to be seen if Levy will assume this position too. So also when they're talking about Soriano, it says Soriano, the other candidate for the position, had received support from Chelsea as well as other Spanish clubs. However, it was not enough support to trump Levy for the role. So it looks like Levy's been put forward by the rest of the Premier League, apart from Chelsea. Maybe the 2 rich clubs tried to band together to try and get a place. But Levy supporting the interest of the balancing the books crowd, maybe. But he's now on the board, and he's going to have some sort of sway and opinions on the ESA, and when they make decisions and big plans and stuff like that, he's going to
try to transform the ESA into the Super League.
But he's essentially representing the Premier League, not Tottenham in the ESA. So that's important to note. But it'll be interesting to see how that affects things, because he's going to have Tottenham's interests at heart. You would have to hope anyway, as part of the ESA. So I guess, I don't know, is it a good thing? I don't know.
I don't know what he can change. I don't know what I don't know.
It's not him he can change. It's just he's part of the committee.
Got a vote, I guess.
Yeah, he's got a vote.
But I don't know what they kind of vote on at the ESA.
Well, they're the European Club Association, so they they're part of the group that put proposals forward to UEFA and FIFA, I guess, for maybe changes to
they're
things.
The board that tried so vigorously to stop the Super League.
Yeah, probably, yeah. The ESA are. We had to leave the ESA to join the Super League.
You just can't make it up, could you, though? Like, he tries to... He literally takes Tottenham out of this, however long ago it was now, to try and form this new Super League. That doesn't work, and now he's been voted onto the executive board. You just can't make it up, though, can you?
Definitely, yeah. It's funny how things panned out, but it says he received support from United, Liverpool and Arsenal. North London rivalries being put aside.
Yeah, well...
Well, do you think, to be fair, how the clubs are run, Spurs are much more similar to United, Liverpool and Arsenal than City are and City are very more similar to Chelsea, aren't they? So it kind of makes sense that's how they supported each other, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, I just don't know what it all means, and I don't know what they can vote for, so it's hard to make a proper, kind of opinion on it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be a bad thing, can it? Him being there, because whatever he votes for, I'm sure he'll.
Levy having too much power is always a bad thing.
Too much power at Spurs, but too much power in world football. Maybe he can. I don't know. I'm trying to think out loud. Maybe he can put things forward that.
Unless he can get a higher percentage of this European money coming to Tottenham, and we can spend it on players. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to affect us. To be honest, I really don't. How can it affect us?
Don't know, maybe just long term when they vote on things, he'll vote in line with Tottenham's interests.
Tottenham always to be in the Champions League. Let's do it.
Because maybe if it came to pass in the future, where they'll try to vote something in that would make Tottenham worse off, or it would benefit the bigger clubs more than Spurs. I don't know what it would be, and maybe he could have some sort of power to vote against that as a Premier League representative.
It'll be when UEFA and the ESA, when they're doing their breakaway league, their version of the Super League, then he'll make sure Tottenham are in it, and Tottenham get a lot of money for doing it. So that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, maybe something. So I don't know. It could be positive if he has Tottenham's interest at the forefront. It could be a positive thing, but I guess congratulations to him for winning the seat. I don't know. That's it, I guess.
Nah. Let's move over to Dark Sun G saying, this is why I didn't want Son to come to Korea. If the injury is actually serious, I'll hate the Korean head coach even more. He can't use Son correctly.
Well, talking about that, there's been more quotes coming out of the KFA saying that Son experienced discomfort in his right leg on Monday's practice, which was later diagnosed as a strained calf. However, they insist his absence is purely precautionary, so they've said that again. So it seems as though it's not too bad, but maybe they could be underplaying it. How many times Spurs have underplayed an injury that's more serious?
Is Spurs talking, or who is it talking?
No, it's KFA, the Korean Association. So
look, we'll have to see how it plays out, but let's hope he is fit and fine for this weekend, and it is only a precautionary. That's all we can really hope for, really, isn't it?
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope he's back for the weekend.
All right, let's move on just in 1 second. I'm just trying to find it here. 1 second, guys. I can't find the
Alex Samuel says, won't affect us much. Is a statement on Spurs' position in world football and how we are being seen as more significant. Yeah, maybe that's something to think about, because would he have been put on if he was, chairman of a smaller club like West Ham or something? Maybe because he's chairman of Spurs and they're seen as a big enough team that he could be represent the Premier League with. So maybe that's something to think about.
Yeah.
And it also goes to show Levy's standing within the Premier League and board members as well. So I think that goes to show how highly thought of he is.
Maybe not when negotiating with him, but maybe in his business acumen.
Maybe they can just appreciate, him as a businessman and how tough a negotiator he is. And they even though they find him a pain in the arse to deal with, they appreciate that he's very good. From protecting Tottenham's interests, they believe he's one of the best in the business, I guess.
Maybe he'll get England 5 spots in the Champions League and the Premier League.
Maybe. 7 would be nice.
Yeah. Maybe he'll get to abolish the Conference League as well. But look, let's move on, as the Conference League squads have been announced, and there's a surprise. Well, I say it's a surprise. It's someone that was left out of the original squad, and that is Tanguy Ndombele. He has been announced in the Conference League squad. Do you think this is one step to repairing some sort of relationships between the two?
I expected him to be called up because he was only really left out of the last one. He was left out because he wanted to leave, obviously. But you have to remember, before then we also had a surplus of foreign players.
Yeah,
and so he left Aurier out, but he left people like Sissoko in. So I always assumed once Sissoko had left, he was always going to be back in the squad. But yeah, I think it's important he's back in the squad. And I think as well with Ndombele, at the moment, this is probably the competition he's going to see the most game time until he proves himself and Nuno that he's committed to the cause. He's not going to be put in straight away in the Premier League for now. We know that. Dele, Skip and Højbjerg that are our 3 to choose from right now. They're the ones working really hard, and it's on Ndombele to fight for his place.
How many times have we heard that? Yeah,
well, no, too many times, unfortunately. So it's important that he's back in the squad and that he's available, and he needs to take this game seriously. Unfortunately, though, you got to remember last year in the Europa League, it was almost too easy for him at times. The Europa League, I remember.
Imagine what the Conference League
exactly. So it's hard to really judge, even though if he does play well in the Conference League, that he's going to be up for it in the Premier League just because he plays well in the Conference League.
I think it's all about attitude, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's all about attitudes. If he approaches these Conference League games in the right way, I think it means he will be up for it for the Premier League. I really believe that. And I think that, if he gets onto the pitch and if he starts playing really well and shows that right attitude, shows that right mentality on the pitch, I think he can play his way into the Premier League team, that's for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. And he has to prove that to Nuno. And that's the main thing. And we all know we got a potentially world-class player just ready to be unlocked and ready to be unearthed in Ndombele. But it's just always problems with him constantly ever since he's come here. So he has to see this as an opportunity to fight back into the team. And I don't want to see him give up or be disgruntled or be annoyed about being left out of Premier League teams, because At the moment, he's asked to leave. He hasn't got his move, unfortunately, not because Spurs didn't try to get rid of him. We did, but it just didn't materialise. And now it's on Ndombele. If he really wants to get that big move, he has to prove to everyone that he's ready for it. And at the moment, he hasn't proved it. So hopefully he sees this Conference League as an opportunity. And also with this Conference League, there was misreported before that Rodon wasn't included, but he is included in this Conference League
Yeah,
squad.
I was just about to read through the whole squad. Let me just do that. So the goalkeepers, you've got Hugo Lloris, Pierluigi Golini and Brandon Austin. The defenders, you've got Matt Doherty, Sergio Reguilon, Christian Romero, Davinson Sanchez, Emerson, Joe Rodon, Eric Dyer, Ryan Sessegnon, Jaff Tanganga, Ben Davis, Malachi Fagan Walcott, Toby Amole, Callum Casey and Brooklyn Lions Foster, which is interesting that Maxim Pastoksi hasn't been named in that as well, with all those young players coming in as too. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg in the midfield, Son, Winks, Brian Hill, Giovanni Lo Celso, Dele Alli, Stephen Bergwijn, Lucas Moura, Tanguy Ndombele, Ollie Skip, Harvey White, Niall John, Jack Clark, Matthew and Michael Craig, Dylan Markande and Janil Bennett. And then up front you've got Harry Kane, Dane Scarlett and Romain Mundo. And the players that have been omitted from the last squad is Cameron Carter-Vickers, Maxim Pastotsky and Moussa Sissoko. So that is the squad that's going to win the Europa Conference League.
Win the Conference League, exactly. Look, no major surprises really in that. And hopefully we'll see what kind of team. I'm going to be interesting to see what kind of team we do play in this Conference League and how seriously Nuno takes it. I am a bit worried. The only thing I'm worried about is Son and Kane. I'm not really worried about anyone else. I'm just worried about Son and Kane's involvement because I think that's the position we have the least depth. That's the position where we have the most quality and the least depth, basically. And that's what I'm worried about them getting too much game time and not focusing on the Premier League. And I'm even in the group stages, I'm worried about it. And because I don't know, it depends how Nuno sees it. It really depends. Is he really going to start Scarlett in most of the games? I have a feeling he won't. I have a feeling he will.
You have to start with Scarlett in the first few games, see how he gets on, and if he is a bit out of his depth, then you've got to look to bring someone else in.
I've got a feeling he might go do the opposite. He might start with Kane and Son, try and win qualification, and then go with Scarlett. Although he did start with Scarlett in the first leg, so maybe that's an indication that he will.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm hoping. That's what I'm really, really hoping he does. I don't want to see Son or Kane starting in Rennes on Thursday and then being knackered for Chelsea on Sunday. They need to be having a full week's rest. That would be perfect. And that's what I want. That's what I want. That would be my preference. Sorry, going into how we would treat this Conference League, but I don't know. It depends how much he wants to prioritise and how seriously he takes it. I guess. I guess it would be interesting to see when the first lineup comes out. I don't think Scarlett's starting at Rennes on Thursday. I think it's going to be one of Kane and Son. That's my prediction on Thursday night.
But with the lack of pre-season as well, I mean, players are just getting fit, and they should be able to play 2 games in a week. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they should. That's true. It shouldn't really affect them too much.
And the travel time is not exactly mad. They're going to France.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be too much of an issue playing in Rennes on Thursday night and then going to play Chelsea on Sunday.
Yeah, but then as well, you're not
especially if it's only 60 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, but it's also not just fitness. There's injuries you're risking and all that kind of. Imagine Kane or Son get injured in a Conference League game against Rennes, and then that's horrific. And then even if they're out for a week or whatever, it's terrible. And that's why I wouldn't even risk them. I wouldn't even take them, honestly. But I've got a feeling one of them's going to start up front on Thursday, and that's my frustration with it. But it is what it is. We're in this competition, and that's the hand we've been dealt, and I guess we've got to go with it.
I think we'll play like a sort of Carabao Cup, early round Carabao Cup team, to be honest. That's what I think we'll play.
I hope we play Scarlett. If I was picking a team, I'll play Scarlett.
I think we will play Scarlett. I think we're going to start off with Scarlett in the first few games, and if we get negative results and it doesn't look like he's doing that well, then maybe change it up then. But I think we got to start with Scarlett.
I've got a feeling the way how Scarlett was so anonymous in that Pacos game might have influenced Nuno that he's not quite ready yet.
It's only one game. I think and we need to bide our time with him. And these Conference League games, Nuno said it himself, we need to use this competition to blood in the youth. So hopefully he does do that.
Yeah, but you can. It's true. Okay, we'll see. I'm hoping that's how he does it.
Yeah, we've got a few super chats. Kev Williams saying, "Hi Ben, hi Sim. There's talk Son is injured for weeks." I mean, they're just saying right now. There's news coming out from the KFA saying that it's just precautionary. So let's hope that's the facts. Hugh Ritzema Carter says, "Wish they'd scrap international qualifiers and make the World Cup and Euros for all countries and knock out from the beginning of the tournament. It is possible." I mean, how many countries are there? How can they do that? That's nuts.
To do what? Sorry.
He's saying scrap all qualifiers and just you put every single country.
Oh yeah, that'd be crazy. Although Wenger had a good idea in terms of for the qualifying process. I think the days of qualifying taking 2 years for each tournament should be scrapped, and it should just be very concentrated periods of qualification, where it's like mini tournaments to qualify, and then you qualify for the tournament instead of it being spread out. Because I think people are getting sick of all these qualifiers being spread out. So
you're saying international tournament 1 year, qualifying the next year, international tournament 1 year, qualifying like summer on summer.
Yeah,
on summer.
basically.
But then the players don't get any break.
Or maybe just concentrated in the middle of the season somehow, and some do it some other way instead of this way.
What they're doing for the Qatari World Cup?
What are they doing for the Qatari World Cup?
Stopping the season for 2 months in December.
Maybe not that long, but maybe for a few weeks, and do it that way or something.
Wouldn't
like that.
Put a lot of strain on the players though?
Maybe.
Because they're having an intense season, stopping the season halfway through, and then having like an intense tournament.
I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure what his idea was, but I know his idea generally was to have a more concentrated qualification process to prevent the qualification spreading over 2 years.
All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. But at the moment, there is no.
No, there's nothing to it. There's no. It's just him putting suggestions out there at the moment.
Charlie Trey says, "Did you see that Son is apparently injured?" Yes, we have been talking about it, but the KFA are saying that it's just precautionary. Let's move on. As Emerson Royal has arrived in Tottenham. He arrived on Monday. Or maybe it was Sunday, but he has arrived. He has been here for the last couple of days, putting pictures all over Instagram in his lovely Tottenham training gear. And it's just great to have him. Do you think he comes straight in on the weekend?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I don't.
Jake?
I don't think he does, because I think because Tanganga has been... Because we kept 3 clean sheets and Tanganga's been solid at the back... and we're also coming up against a Palace side who are very tricky customers in Wilfried Zaha and players of that ilk. I think he's going to keep Tanganga for the time being. I don't think he'll want to just completely unsettle a backline which is performing fairly well at the moment. And I know I was critical of Tanganga's performance against Palace, but I do believe he's had a really good start to the season. And defensively, he's been pretty much faultless. Apart from obviously some struggles he had against Adama Traore, but I think apart from that, he's been really strong. So I think he's going to make Emerson fight for it. I don't think he's going to give it straight away to Emerson, but I do believe he'll win that place eventually. I think he'll probably start on Thursday against Rennes. That's my prediction, and then hopefully he can earn his way into the team. And I believe once Emerson gets into the team, we're going to have 2 fullbacks who are very pacey and a lot more comfortable on the ball as well, which is going to be very, very positive as we do now. As much as I'm enjoying Tanganga and how aggressive he's been, I just always feel like when he's on the ball, especially into space on the right hand side, he just doesn't seem very comfortable in possession, and his passing can be a bit hit and miss, and he just doesn't seem that to have that much quality in the final third. And hopefully that's what Emerson can bring to us. And I'm very excited to finally have a right back through the door. Our first right back signing, since Aurier? No, obviously signed Doherty last summer, but hopefully he's our first one that we can really improve on. Pretty much since Walker's left. That's what we've all been dreaming of since 2017. So it's finally to get some fresh blood in there. It's exciting. I think this signing probably, I don't know what it means for Doherty, but probably not very good things, because hasn't started the season. From Doherty's point of view, when Nuno's come in, he's probably thinking I'm going to get a new lease of life. Now I've got my old manager back. He got the best out of me and all that kind of stuff. and then he's come start of the season, and Tanganga is ahead of him, and he's like, oh God, so maybe I'm not. And then not only is Tanganga ahead of him, on deadline day we've signed another right back as well. So it doesn't. I think it probably spells bad news for him, doesn't it? All this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think that if a bid did come in for him, Nuno would be happy to sell him, and that would have been him selling him 2 years in a row.
In a way, I feel bad for him because I think he probably was really excited by Nuno coming in, and it's probably worked out really badly for him. So in that sense, I do feel bad. But unfortunately, he just has to up his game, and it's on him. And I think every time he's played,
I don't think he has it in him, man.
At the moment,
he doesn't have it in him. He doesn't have the qualities to play at right back. I mean, for us. I mean, what has he ever shown? Ever?
Yeah, and even at Wolves, I know he was great at Wolves, but he was given so much freedom. It wasn't even necessarily because of how good of a player he was, is why he was so good at Wolves. It was just because he was literally on that right. He was literally like a right forward playing at right wing back, and he was given so much space and freedom to just arrive in the box every single time that so many times he was found in space in the box and in attacking positions because no one was picking him up because they were concentrating on other players and because they were doubling up on Adama Traore and whatever. And so time after time he was able to just find those spaces and contribute in attacking senses. But now he's in a better team, especially right in a back four where he's given a lot more responsibility to control the right flank. He's just not up to it.
No,
he's just not up to it. But in terms of Emerson, hopefully he will be, and that's what I'm hoping. Physically, he seems a lot more faster, stronger than not maybe Tanganga, but definitely Doherty. Definitely seems to have better quality on the ball than Tanganga, and I'm hoping, as a Brazilian international, he's also 6 foot as well. So aerially, he's quite dominant against wingers as well, they say. So I'm very excited from what he can bring, and I can't wait to see him in the Spurs shirt.
Yeah, there's a lot of conflicting reports over Emerson about how good he is or how bad he is or what kind of style of defender he is. But I am very excited to see him getting off the ground running and starting to get into the side.
But it's important to remember, as much as Barcelona did let him go, they signed him. They only signed him in I think it was like June. They signed him re-signed him from Betis.
No,
and
they literally at the beginning of August.
Was it beginning of August?
He literally had this ceremony on the new camp, with fans in stadiums and all this stuff. He had this massive thing, and Joan Laporta comes on the pitch in that thing and was talking about him in an interview for Barcelona TV or whatever it may be. And they say this guy is a massive future for Barcelona. This guy is going to be here for many years to come. And if anyone wants him, it's a 300 million euro release clause.
And he said he's going to be our player. And he was saying how it's a dream to play for Barca. I can't wait to start my career and everything. They re-signed him because of his impressive displays for Betis as well. He was playing quite well for Betis over a 2-year period. And
apparently he was like right back of the year in Spain last year.
Was he the right back of the year? Oh, Betis is right back of the year?
Betis, yeah.
No, La Liga right back of the year. Okay, so he got him team of the year basically.
Apparently so, yeah.
That's interesting. So that's positive as well. So, and also he was involved in the first 3 games. He started one of them, but he was involved in the first 3 games of the season for Barcelona as well. So they were clearly ready to use him and set to use him. But clearly their financial struggles gave us an opportunity to step in and sign him up, which is why we've got this opportunity. So I think people may be thinking of why would Barca let him go so easy if he was that good. I'm not looking at the situation. They let Griezmann go on deadline day. You know what I mean? That's how bad their financial situation has been. So. It's just because they let him go doesn't mean he's no good.
I saw a lot of tweets on underneath the kind of posts from Barcelona saying he's going to Tottenham, and a lot of the fans there were angry at the kind of transfer. They were saying that he's definitely the best right back at the club at the moment and stuff like that. And also, I don't know if you follow the Euro expert. He's got a YouTube channel as well, and he just comments a lot on European football. I think he goes. I know
who he is.
Matt Hayes' channel sometimes,
and
all that kind of stuff. He was saying Tottenham are getting the best right back in La Liga as well. So a lot of Spurs fans were airing caution to this transfer, and he was just pouring complete cold water on that, saying this guy is a top player.
Well, let's be honest. Even if it is a bit of a risk, I think clearly he's going to be a good player. But even if it is a bit of a risk, it's worth taking the risk of given our options, isn't it?
Oh, that's for sure.
That's for sure. That's the truth. So I think it's worth taking a punt, even if there's a risk that he's not as good as people think he is.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. Sebastian Finn with the super chat saying Tanganga at centre-back for Palace with Royal at right-back.
Well, Rodon's back, so
yeah,
I'm expecting him. I don't know if I think
How
Wales.
fit is he though? Because he hasn't played in a while, Rodon.
Well, he's in the. Let's see if he starts against Estonia. I don't know.
Tonight?
I don't know if it's tonight or I think it might be tomorrow. Today's Tuesday, isn't it? Yeah. So I think it's going to be tomorrow. I think because they played on the same day as England played, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be tomorrow. They're playing Estonia. So if he plays that game, if he starts that game, maybe he will be fit for Saturday. But I guess, look, it's not the end of the world. I guess Tanganga at centre back and Emerson coming in. That's not the worst solution, I guess.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's a lot of pressure on Dyer.
Yeah. All of a sudden.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
All right, let's move on and let's talk about Alfie Divine and Brian Hill. Alfie, let's start off with Alfie Divine as he was named England under-19 captain. So big up to Alfie Divine. And Brian Hill was named Spanish under-21 captain. So we've got some leaders coming through the ranks, huh?
Yeah, it's positive, very positive. And we know Alfie Divine from a very young age. He, even in his cameos in the Spurs shirt for the first team, he's definitely shown a lot of quality, hasn't he, for a very young player. I think he's got a massive, massive future. And Brian Hill, it's very rare you see players like Hill in youth level being captain of their, like, though that kind of player, flair player on the wing. But Luis Enrique mentioned this when he said he called him up for Spain, and he said he was very surprised and impressed by the maturity of and his willingness to be loud in the dressing room and on the pitch and stuff like that. He was saying, I remember reading. So clearly he's not afraid to be ordering players around and giving his opinion, and he's clearly respected if he's been named captain as well, and that's very, very positive from that point of view. And also, I think I'm right in saying in the England under-19 game against Germany a couple of days ago, Scarlett scored.
Yeah.
So that's also
Scarlett scored 2 and 2 over this international break.
So there you go. Also scoring, doing good stuff there for the England youth level. So the young players at Tottenham look to be thriving at the moment, which is very, very positive.
They really do.
I'm liking the look of that. And the more I see of Hill, the more I might get very, very excited about it. But he's still very young. But I just want to see more of him. He just seems to have that X factor. But I just want to see him in the Premier League and see what he can do in the Premier League.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's worth noting with Divine, like, we all want to see Divine a bit more, but he's so young, isn't he?
16.
So young.
He scored at 16, didn't he? Against Marine.
Against Marine.
Great goal as well.
Yeah, it was a nice finish. So, I mean, I'm very excited about not just those two, but all these players coming through at Tottenham at the moment. There seem to be like a core group that are really going places. And it makes me feel like that group that we had with like Harry Kane, Ryan Mason, Andros Townsend, all these kind of players all coming through at the same time. But these lot seem to be a level above, to be honest.
Yeah, they do. And this seems like positive for the future. And in terms of when we're looking towards this project that we're trying to build under Nuno and have these fresh rebuilding the squad and all this kind of stuff, I'm hoping these players are going to be at the forefront in a few years' time of coming to the first team. Maybe they, when we always think about Spurs, they need to splash money on this player and that player, but hopefully we can start actually using our youth properly and integrating him into the first team, because that's the best model. That's like the perfect model. That's all the best side, all the really great sides have always done that, integrated their youth and got the best out of their youth products.
Spain's just a great example, isn't it?
Yeah, that Barcelona side, Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, all youth players. That United side of '92, dominated by youth players into the side. That's like a lot of great sides have always done that. And Spurs,
even Chelsea now.
And Chelsea now, exactly. They've got a lot of youth players in there as well. So,
and the Spurs side of, I know we didn't win anything, but it's our most successful period in the Premier League, and that was dominated by youth as well.
So, that's like the best model, Spurs. And I think as well, the fact that we've invested in our training ground, all that kind of stuff, that's it, I think, with a vision of kind of in long term, getting the best out of the players that we're bringing through our academy. So I think this is hopefully a view to that, and it's very, very positive, and hopefully we can make the best use out of it.
Yep. All right, let's move on. As Tim Spires was talking a few days ago, for those of you who don't know, Tim Spires is the Wolves correspondent for The Athletic, and apparently some Wolves fans were telling me he's the most reliable journalist when it comes to Wolves. And he's saying Tottenham target Adama Traore has resumed talks with Wolves for a new contract, and all parties are optimistic of a successful resolution. Do you feel like the Adama boat has come and sailed past?
Not yet. I don't think it's sailed yet because I don't. Yes, until he signs that contract, it definitely hasn't sailed. Because if he's got 2 years left come January, they could definitely, I reckon, and he hasn't signed, and they can definitely be persuaded with a good offer, I reckon, in January. And also, with the longer, as much as Wolves are playing well at the moment, despite playing well in defeat, unfortunately for them, as long as their run continues, and say they come January and they're lower mid table or bottom half of the table, whatever. I'm sure Adama wants something more to be in a more ambitious race in terms of the league table, and we all know he wanted to come to Spurs in the summer. So as long as he doesn't sign that contract, he hasn't sailed. And I think there's a good chance he won't sign it as long as Wolves are not doing that great, in my opinion. So I know he knows there are clubs who are prepared to pay him a higher wage and are prepared to take him on like Spurs. So I think it's probably within his interest not to sign the contract just yet.
Probably, unless he kind of negotiates some sort of release clause that Spurs are willing to pay in it or something like that.
Yeah, maybe that's possible, but I think the release clause Wolves will probably want to put in is something like 50 million, and at the moment we're not prepared to pay that. So maybe if he doesn't negotiate that, they would take a lower offer in January. That's probably a more likely solution. So I don't know. I feel like this boat has not sailed just yet. I think there's still hope for it as long as he doesn't sign the contract. And he started the season really well. He started the season pretty much as how Adama has always been, isn't he? Creating havoc, but no real damage, basically.
I mean, the only time he's done proper damage is that one season under Nuno where he got like 9 Premier League goals and like 14 assists or whatever it was.
Yeah, but he's pretty much shown the best and the worst of Adama, hasn't he, during this season. But he caused so much havoc in defences and so much chaos that maybe he's just like, for example, not like look. Yes, Adama had chances, but look at the chances he created for his other teammates against United and against Spurs. He missed chances himself, yes, but the chances his teammates missed, Son and Kane are not missing those chances, and that's a lot of it was made because of the havoc he caused. And if he could do that for Tottenham, he could be very, very valuable. So he would definitely be. I think he would be worth having in the squad. So. I think as much as he's shown the worst of himself, he's also showed how valuable he could be.
I think with Adama, people are completely blinded by the fact that he's not a good finisher of the ball.
Yeah,
I think people are completely blinded by that. And yes, his kind of finishing and scoring needs to improve and can improve, but his delivery into the box and his like kind of way how he can muscle past defenders and even pass the ball into box, cross the ball into the box is so underrated in my opinion. I think like he's definitely one of the best in the Premier League in that, and I think that it's just like people just whenever they see Adama they think about his one-on-ones that he misses and the chances that he misses, but the amount of chances he creates a game is absolutely unreal.
Yeah, they kind of basically always think about what he can't do as opposed to what he can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you got to focus on. I guess maybe we're also guilty with that with Lucas as well sometimes, focusing on what he can't do as opposed to what he can do. But I feel like Lucas doesn't open up the game as much as Adama does. Lucas is great at dribbling, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like
what you say here, or John will be after you.
I know. I just feel like Lucas doesn't open up as much as much space on a frequency basis as much as Adama does. I think he does it like Lucas will do 4 or 5 dribbles a game, which is great and really high compared to other dribblers. But Adama will do like 9 or 10, and that's like a ridiculous level, like different level.
I believe all round gameplay, I think Lucas might be a better player than Adama.
Yeah.
But I think that on a consistent basis throughout a whole season, I think Adama might actually be worth having in our team, and maybe not what he shows for Wolves and what Lucas shows for us, but I think that in our team, I think Adama might actually be better to have than Lucas because he can kind of split that defence pretty much every game, and it's just about who finishes around him. Lucas Moura can go missing in games.
That's the thing. Adama also does seem to be a bit more of a consistent performer. Maybe Wolves fans can tell me different, but he does seem to be a bit more of a consistent performer than Lucas, who, as you say, can sometimes just completely go missing in games. Whereas Adama, even when he's not having a great game, he's had that that physicality he has. You can still get the ball to him and he can hold it up and he can be involved in the game. Whereas Lucas, like against that Wolves game, like he can just go hiding sometimes.
And we don't even need to compare the two because I think the squad can do with both of them. You know
just
what I mean?
Imagine Lucas running at someone and then Adama coming or vice versa.
Or even like Lucas in a number 10, Adama on the right and Sonny on the left.
Yeah,
Kane up top.
It will just be frightening.
Havoc. Imagine that on the counter attack.
Yeah.
But anyway, Craig Murdoch with the super chat saying Skip, Sarr, Divine, Hill, Scarlett, Parrott, Tanganga. And by the way, Sarr played for Senegal this week and apparently played really, really well. There was a picture of him and Mane doing the rounds on social media. Mintu Lee is absolutely spamming the chat with hashtag Moura-sexuals.
And actually, talking Pape Matar Sarr, it was interesting hearing...
Brian Daigle has timed out Mintu Lee in the chat. Though you don't want to be doing that, Brian. You don't want to be doing that.
What was I going to say? Pape Matar Sarr's dad... Pape Matar Sarr, would you say, was talking about what he thinks his son's best position is, and he says he could be a number 6 with 2 number 8s. He could be he could play as a number 10, and he could be a number 8 himself. He said he's very, very versatile. He said depends on what the coach wants. He clearly rates what his son could do very, very highly, and thinks he could be. Could play anywhere, so it'd be interesting to see.
He's a 10, he's a 6, he's an 8.
Could be anything. He said he could be anything depending on what the coach wants.
Yeah.
So he clearly thinks he's very versatile.
Yeah. So it's very good options to have, and I think I'm very excited for him to come into the team next year. But when I look at him, I mean, he does look extremely lightweight.
Yeah, but so did Kante. You know, Kante looks lightweight, but that doesn't affect him, does it?
True. Very true. Well, let's hope he can be half the player Kante is.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
All right, let's move on as we've got some brand new quotes from Lucas Moura talking about that Champions League final and about how he was not in the squad. So let's talk about them.
Yeah, so talking about the quotes from Lucas, I will read them out here. He says, it was a historic qualification like that. I was very confident and convinced I was going to play and that we were going to be champions. On the day of the game, in the last speech at the hotel when we were all already leaving and going to the stadium, even the atmosphere was a little tense between the players because no one understood anything. But I'm a very professional guy with a calm mind, and at the moment I just wanted to be a champion, so I didn't have any reaction, nothing to say to him. Also because after the game there was a sadness and everyone went to their own house. Whether we like it or not, we have to respect it, but sometimes we don't agree with the coach's decisions. We have to know how to respect it, and as I said, at the moment I just wanted to be champion and I just wanted to win the game, and unfortunately it wasn't possible. So do you think he's suggesting there that not just him but maybe some of the other players disagreed with Poch's decision to leave him out in the final back in 2019, and that maybe caused a negative effect going into the game?
Definitely in his mind, that's for sure. It's difficult because, I mean, when are you ever going to get a situation where a player scores a hat-trick with half an hour to go or with 45 minutes to go pretty much to send you to a Champions League final, first time ever in your history, a massive occasion, and then he gets left out the team? It is difficult. But I think that everyone at the time was just like, oh, why is Kane starting? Kane had to start that game. Kane absolutely had to start that game. If it was my decision, I probably would have taken Dele Alli out the side. Yeah, Lucas Moura.
That was the thing. Dele was having an awful season as well. Wasn't playing well. I don't know why he was the one. He was the one who should have been out of the team, not
No
Lucas.
one talks about that being like it's either Kane or Moura. That's all people talk about. People have, and no one widens that and talks about anyone else, which I completely don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I understand he's frustrated. It wasn't just that Champions League hat-trick at Ajax as well. He was actually just genuinely our most informed player, I remember, at the time. I remember he got a hat-trick against Huddersfield as well, round about that time.
Throughout that whole period, he got through in Barcelona, scored in PSV, Where else did he score? Did he score against Dortmund? No, he didn't. But anyway.
No, but he was a big part of the team that obviously when we beat City on the counter-attack, he got assists for Son and stuff like that.
He was a big part of that team. He was so influential throughout the whole kind of Champions League run, wasn't he?
Yeah, and also I'm saying in the Premier League as well. He got that hat-trick against Huddersfield in and around that time. He was actually our most informed player in the league.
Is that the year where he got 15 goals in all competitions?
Yeah, that was his best season for us. So, and then he gets to the final, and then he's obviously his frustration. But it's interesting. People obviously blame that decision for one of the reasons why we didn't win. But it's interesting to hear Lucas talking about how there was tension between the players because no one understood, and maybe having that tension was not what cost us, but we did kind of put in a very timid performance, didn't we, during that game?
So did Liverpool, though.
Yeah, I guess because of the heat, it wasn't the best conditions.
And also, it was so long after the end of the season. It was like a month break or something stupid like that, and it was just why?
Yeah, but I think. But I think having tension between players before the game probably is never a good thing, is it? Especially such a big game when there's already enough tension anyway.
Yeah, everyone should be together.
Exactly. So I think you've got to say, we all know it anyway, but that was probably one of Poch's biggest mistakes, not starting Lucas in that game.
Biggest. Had to be the biggest. And it shouldn't be instead of Kane. Kane had to have started that game. You can't not start Kane in the Champions League final, let's be honest.
Yeah, and we had Eriksen there anyway, so it could have worked easy. Son on the left, Eriksen in the middle, and Lucas on the right with Kane up top. Why I don't know why we didn't do that. Don't know why we didn't do that, but that was how it all played out. But interesting to hear Lucas still talking about it.
Yeah, and everyone wanted to hear these quotes from Lucas straight after the game, but it's taken a couple of years. But we're here now.
I can understand his disappointment, but it is what it is, unfortunately, with him.
Yeah. Anyone waiting in the background to come on? All right, just give us a second.
The lines are open. You can go onto the community section and go click the rendezvous link, and we will we are taking callers, so make sure you click the link and come talk to us about anything you want, anything Tottenham related, or we can have a discussion.
Definitely. And South Korea are apparently about to kick off as well. Heung-min Son is not in the team,
there's this South Korean journalist who is saying Bob Spurs says he can't connect. Is there a problem with it? Is there a problem? Maybe can you connect to the link if you click it?
Well, he said people are connected.
Yeah?
I can see it, it's just black, the screen's black. It's come up twice.
So the South Korean columnist has said both Spurs and the KFA need to consider that even if Son insists he's okay, he already showed the symptom of an injury 2 weeks ago. It's no secret that he played too many games last season and needs to be protected to avoid further injuries.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting that he's saying he showed a symptom of an injury 2 weeks ago. We're probably at risk of
so why did he play the last two South Korean games then?
Why? Because they rely on him, don't they?
But if he's showing symptoms of injury, they need to protect him as well as we do.
He said both of them do.
Oh,
he said Spurs and the KFA both need to start protecting Son more because he's being overplayed.
Okay.
And that's probably true, and that we probably do risk overplaying him. I wonder if Son got an injury, and he kept him out for say a month or so, like a bit like when Kane got that injury, he kept him out for a while, but then he came back a lot fresher. I can't remember when that was.
That was after he broke his arm, wasn't it?
Not arm. His when was it? It was when he came back. It was under Mourinho. When he tore his hamstring, he was out for 3 months. But then he came back after lockdown, and he was a lot fresher and looked a different player. Maybe, I don't know, could it have that effect on Son? I don't know. It's hard to know.
Oh, it's hard.
Don't be wishing injuries on
exactly,
players.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
Let's get Bob Spur on. Come on, Bob. Yes, Bob. How's it going, mate?
Morning, Bob. Oh, there you go. I can hear him now.
Oh, good morning.
Morning. Are you up to anything nice Saturday morning?
Right. Yeah, I believe so. I'll be absolutely. I still can't get over it. Absolutely honoured to be where you guys are sitting Saturday morning, covering the Palace Spurs show, which I'm absolutely shitting it about now.
don't you? About the Spurs result or being on the show?
Bit of both, mate. Bit of both. But hopefully it'll go all right. We'll have
No, of course it's going to go right.
mate,
But
sorry.
I'm saying, are you going to sit in my seat or Sim's seat?
Oh, it's a big question.
Oh, mate. So you've always been my favourite, Ben. So I'll have to sit in your seat if that's okay. John normally sits on the other side anyway. It's a big brother thing, Sim. Nothing against it. It's a big brother thing. I've got.
Fair enough.
So, but no, yeah.
What do you want to talk about today, Bob?
Mate, it's all about the Lo Celso and Romeros of the world. So leaving Spurs, well, first of all, being selected, leaving Spurs training ground, going to the airport, boarding the plane, in the plane, arriving there, getting off the plane, going to the hotel, training, spending the night, going to the stadium, getting ready for the game. How many people didn't do their due diligence for it to get to the point where it had to take for them to take the field for it to be stopped? I mean, what a shit show from start to finish. You know, how many people didn't do their job right? It was embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing. Personally, I don't think it should have ever got to that point. It's COVID, man. It's COVID. It is literally life and death. The possibility that even today, when there's, you know, umming and ahhing, maybe it's a personal thing. I've lost a couple of people through COVID, but you know, it shouldn't have been a case of, oh, maybe if we could do this, or maybe there's ways around it. I understand the world needs to move on, but if there's any inkling of danger or the possibility of a spread, then why take the chances? It's COVID or football, man. Come on, put it into perspective. But I understand there's a bigger picture, and money talks, doesn't it? Money talks.
Yeah, money talks, but I mean, if the kind of Argentinian FA or the hierarchies that it may be in Argentina are saying to these players or putting some pressure on these players saying, you know, your World Cup spot could be at risk here, I mean, what do you expect the players to do?
Yeah, understand. But like I say, the simple answer would be, no, it's COVID. You know, we're not putting our lives or the risk of spread, or regardless, it might not be themselves or other people. We just don't know. And there's a lot of finger pointing. I know Tim Vickery. I don't know if you guys. He's absolutely brilliant with South American football, and he's gone into it in depth. There's a lot of finger pointing there. You know, the Argentinian FA have said, right, FIFA, you deal with it. It's under your umbrella. Nothing to do with us. The Brazilian FA are turning around and saying, no, it was Argentinian FA. So much finger pointing going on. It's just loads of rubbish. But Ende, like I think Sim said earlier, it seems to be Spurs the only one who is suffering out of all this. We're the ones missing out good players, but it could have been prevented. I personally think, you know, there's no reason why the calendar couldn't have been moved. But that's the naivety in me. Of course, there's the bigger picture, which is money orientated. But we'll see, mate. We'll see. Hopefully, it won't affect us too much against Palace. But we'll sign out as well.
You think, so in terms of the players' culpability for what's happened out there, do you obviously they're going to be fined when they come back. Apparently they're in for the Athletic are reporting they're in for a frosty reception coming back to Tottenham. What do you think is the right maybe consequence for them? Do you think just a fine's fine? Or are they should they lose their place in the team? What's the right thing to do in this situation?
Sim, it just doesn't sit right with me, mate. You know, the fact it's so early in the season, Nuno still getting used to the whole place, Romero, the likes of Romero getting used to the teammates, and suddenly all this has come up. I'm just uncomfortable by it all. We shouldn't be in a position where we have to choose, or we should be talking about should they be fined or dropped, etc. You know, hopefully it will come to, look, it's a one-off, a stern warning, and don't do it again. But
what happens like when it comes around next month?
It's literally coming around in October and November.
Exactly. And that's going to be it. Is it a case of sitting down and setting out some guidelines and the players being honest? You know, we can never deny someone. It's like Kane not turning up for Spurs and then I don't know, turning his back on England. You know, if he was called up by England, we'd be sitting here going, "Oh, Harry Kane, what a traitor, not turning up for England for an important World Cup qualifier." So it's a hard one, mate. But there needs to be some sort of guideline put in place where it doesn't hurt Spurs, but they can represent their countries at the same time. How that's possible, no idea. It's going to be a hard one. It's going to be. I'm not comfortable by putting them or throwing them to the Lions because of the passion for representing the country, and rightly so. And Argentina, South American countries, so passionate about their own country. It's every right to go. I just think it could have been prevented if everything was sorted out prior to them even leaving Spurs. There's no way this is going to happen. It's just, I say, a poor case of due diligence, really, from many people.
Yeah, what do you think happens next international break? Do you reckon they'll go again? What do you reckon happens?
Oh,
thing is, laws and red lists could be changed by then.
Yeah, they change very quickly, but still, it's the same thing,
exactly.
Same situation. What happens?
Yeah. It's again, you can't deny them not to go. I personally think if it's the same situation, then they won't be allowed to play anyway. If it's the same quarantine rules and everything else, and unless apparently they lied as well about being in a certain country for a certain period of time. If everything's black and white, I don't know who we play when they go next time. Hopefully it's not too hard a game, but it's happened before, hasn't it? With the African nations and qualifiers before. It's not like we haven't lost players before. I just think with the climate it is nowadays, there needs to be so much stringent checks. And if it's a case of, unfortunately, people can't go because of a certain virus that is overtaking the world, then the bigger picture needs to be looked at and say, guys, sorry, no one's going to hold it against Celso, Romero. No one's going to hold it against you if you don't go because of the pandemic or the pandemic that we're slowly coming out of. I think there needs to be a bigger picture and a bigger conversation and a more definitive conversation, because, mate, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, and it was such a shame. Such a shame.
It's just mad how they can get it to that stage where a game gets halted after 5 minutes when these players have been in the bloody country for 3 days. I mean, I don't understand how it gets to that stage. It makes no sense whatsoever. Just incompetence. No. Just purely what it is, just incompetence. Yeah. But what I want to ask you, Bob, is about Daniel Levy, because he's won a seat on the ESA board 6 months after he's pulled Tottenham out of the ESA and tried to get him into the Super League. I mean, what do you reckon this means for Tottenham, Daniel Levy, or the Premier League?
I'm not surprised. I know, because he got voted in by quite a few executives, didn't he? Arsenal. Yeah. I'm not surprised by that, because I think there is that a mutual feeling amongst the executives that he's good chairman. I'll never bring myself to say that he's a good chairman. I don't think he is, but that's a whole different subject. It's promotion for him, isn't it? It's progress for him. The way I look at it, does it entitle him to bring any more money into the club? Because if it does, hopefully, I don't think it does, but
I don't think it does either.
I don't know, mate. Maybe it's a bit more clout. Maybe it's a bit more thing. Personally, and how do I say this? Because he is the chairman of my club. I couldn't give two tosses what he does, as long as there's progression on the pitch. He could become the king of a country or whatever. He could do whatever he wants. My concern, my love, is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw. I had the pleasure of being on screen with Mickey Hazard yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. Absolute brilliant video, by the way.
Oh, mate, it made me. I think Stel said it made me proud to be a supporter of a fan of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Man, the way he spoke about it, the best explanation of to dare is to do. He put it into words what it actually means to him. It was absolutely brilliant, and that's what, with regards to Levy, I couldn't care less what he does, where he goes, what he's doing, and what his title is. All I want is for him to concentrate on our football team, progress our football team. Enough of the rebuilds. Let's have a build. Let's go on from where we are, because we've got the best striker in the world. We've got we've got 2 or 3 other world-class players. Do whatever you want. Represent whoever you want. Sit on whatever board you want. Just make Tottenham Hotspur Football Club great again, because we can.
Do you reckon there's any potential positives of him being on this board and potentially representing not just the Premier League's interest, but subconsciously Tottenham's interest on this kind of ball when they're making big decisions about the direction of European football and that kind of thing? And maybe he can have a say when Tottenham's interests are threatened or not and whatnot, and he can act as Tottenham's voice as well. Is there any potential positives that can come out of that, you think?
Yeah, hopefully, if we're finishing fifth, he'll clamour for a top 5 getting into the Champions League rather than top 4. How much of a clout enough? No, yeah. I mean, you hope so, but I'm sure for him, it's more of a personal achievement than a club achievement. He's not sitting there going, look what I've done for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. It is personal, a personal justification of how well, in some people's eyes, he's done his job. But yeah, we'll wait and see, mate. He's been in a position of making great decisions for Tottenham Hotspur for 20 years. He's fallen short a couple of times. Let's wait and see how our share on the ESA or ECA will make a difference for Spurs. I'll hold my breath.
Let's see how it plays out, Bob. But always a pleasure having you on, Bob, and looking forward to seeing you on the big shiny screen on Saturday.
Can't wait. We can't wait, Bob.
Mate. Shanatova.
Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you very much, Bob.
And Ben Muzzletuf.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bob. Big up yourself.
Bob's going to be taking calls on Saturday. I can't wait. Can't wait for it.
We'll have to call in ourselves. We're going to be calling you. It's going to be role reversals on Saturday.
Yeah, man, I've got my new pants and everything. I'm all sorted. I'm all geared up.
Brilliant.
Big up yourself,
Love
Bob.
It, Bob. See you in a bit.
Big up, mate.
That is the great Bob Spur. If you didn't gather that, he will be on the watch-along on Saturday at 12:30. And another person who you might be seeing on the watch-alongs very soon, Brian Daigle. Brian, how you going, mate?
I am very good, lads. How are you?
Yes, very good, thank you. Very good.
Not long till you're here, right?
Not long. Before I get into that, I just have to say, I was saying to Bob Spur, please don't forget it. I taught him how to say it. I was like, don't forget Shanatova, don't forget Shanatova. And they go, so first of all, Shanatova to you and every Jewish person in the chat. Ben, a huge mazel tov to you and Ashley, and obviously to both your families. Now for the bad news, Ben. I want to thank you for throwing me under the bus Jose style with the Mintu Lee thing, which I apologise for. I could have said an admin and stuff. No, Brian Daigle, what have you done? But yeah, now onto the good things. Yeah, I'm flying home it's Sunday evening here, but we'll be very early Monday morning your time. And I arrive at Heathrow Monday, 8:55 in the morning. And what an honour that I'm going to my very, very first Spurs game at the brand new stadium alongside, I don't know if it's Ben or Sim that's going to the
both of us. It's both of you.
He's about to faint. He's about to faint when he heard that.
not only just us, but Grandpa as well.
Oh, the legend. That how could I forget that? Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly.
And my dad.
There we go. This just gets better and better.
and
60 other 1,000, but the real people that count is obviously the people I'm going with, which I just cannot wait. It's going to be great.
We can't wait to have you with us, Brian. It's going to be good. You're going to be on some watch-alongs while you're here as well. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that, Brian. It's all good stuff. I can't wait to come over and I finally meet you in person for the first time. It's going to be good stuff.
I can't wait. And I get to wear my We Are Tottenham TV shirt that got Return to Sender when you sent it. So I get to watch that. But one thing I do want to talk about, and funny enough, it's not going to be about the Parasite. I'm really excited by something Ben said, which is about Alfie Divine. I've been saying for a long time. I mean, I think Scarlett is going to be better than Michael Owen. I rate them two, like their progress and their age, and Alfie Divine is going to be even better than that. Obviously, not as a striker. He is, trust me, he is the one. One of my parents' greatest friends had a son who was actually the nutrition and dietitian and everything at Wigan, and said this kid is something. And honestly, I'm so happy to hear that he's been made captain.
When do you expect to see Divine being involved with the first team more? If in your opinion,
I came on your show after the first leg against the Portuguese. I can't remember their name.
Yeah.
There we go. And I was really upset that he wasn't there. And I think it was Ben or Yusuf that was saying that he played an under-23 game the day before, and I was like, well, what's more important for first team kind of experience? And I really want to see a lot of him in the Europa Conference League. I really do, because this kid, I mean, yes, he came on against Marine and he scored. Yes, he had a good game and it was Marine, but this kid has got something really, really special, and I can't wait to see him develop.
And talk about the Conference League, Brian. Obviously, the squad was announced yesterday with obviously Ndombele's back in, and Roden, after being left, that Europa League squad is in. How do you think this competition will be approached? Because we only have Son and Kane as and Scarlett, obviously, as our strikers in the squad.
Yep.
And we've got a long season ahead of us. We're going well in the Premier League at the moment. Do you think who's going to be our main striker in the Conference League? Do you see Son and Kane getting a lot of game time, or do you think he'll go with Scarlett?
I'm hoping he'll go along with. I kind of liked what he did, where he took a load of youth out to the away game. The job wasn't done, so he's like, right, first teamers, you're coming in. There's no travel, there's no long flights or whatever. It's just turn up at the ground, play whatever. So I'm hoping he kind of goes on that kind of away games. He may bleed more youth in, but then if the job's not done and we need to get a job done at home, he'll put a few big hitters in. So I'm hoping that will open the door for Scarlett. But I hope Bob Spur's still watching, because Ben, when you read out the squad that have been included, all I heard was Chaz and Dave hotshot Tottenham. And if Bob Spur can do something with that, it would be brilliant, because I just heard it in the background. But I hope
Ray, Clemens, Mitchell, Thomas, Gary, Stephen, Steve, Hodge.
There you go. That's all I heard. That's all I heard as you were mentioning it. But yeah, I really hope Scarlett gets some game time away. Even home. I mean, there's talk that he may go to a 3-5-2 or whatever. And if it is a 3-5-2, or he does go for a second striker in these games, I would like to see Scarlett alongside Kane, or a Son alongside Kane, as opposed Scarlett as opposed to Kane's Son. We've got to bring him in, because I think if we got another striker in, which we obviously didn't, we could have had someone for Scarlett to learn off. He's now only got Kane to learn off. So one thing he's got to do is, all well and good learning how to play and watching him, it's a completely different thing coming on and getting the experience of playing with him. And I think in a 2, this could really open the door for Scarlett, because Kane could drop into like the Teddy Sheringham position, and then Scarlett can be up there. So I really, really hope we see a lot of Scarlett. But like I said, the one I'm really excited for is Alfie Divine.
Brian, I wanted to ask you about these Lucas Moura quotes that we were talking about before, about the Champions League final, what have you, and what you made out of them. I mean, he was saying that there was like a tense atmosphere before that final because of Poch's selection. Did you kind of see that during the game, or like, what did you make out of the comments?
So, with the game, we'll never know, because after 20 seconds it was ruined. So it's hard to say, it changed it because of that thing, because of that, but...
It's only one goal, Brian. You should be able to kind of work your way around that.
You say that it was the best defence in the league.
It was, yeah, but I mean, 1-0 down, they didn't put in their best performance. We should be kind of... It shouldn't be over after 20 seconds. It shouldn't be over after 20 seconds.
Yeah, but when you give the best defence in the league a 1-0 head start, it makes it near impossible, in my opinion.
I wouldn't say near impossible. Come on.
Near impossible.
It wasn't like
you know what it was,
Ben?
Ben?
The best defence in the league.
It was 20 seconds. It was a dodgy. I mean, I still don't know if it's a penalty. I don't think it's a penalty. Or certainly not to have given in the first 20 seconds. That's got to have set in. So I don't think it defied everything we're just talking about, but it certainly had an effect on it. Now, I am co-chairman with JC for the Lucas Moura the Moura Sectional Club. I apologise, Mintu Lee, once again for putting you in a timeout, because you got excited as I did. I mean, I really weren't happy when Kane started the match, and the reason I wasn't was because I was thinking, do you know what? If this game goes to extra time and penalties, there's no way Kane lasts 120 minutes and penalties from that injury. I'd rather Kane had come on if we were 1-0 down, maybe 2-0, and come on fresh. And if it goes to extra time and penalties, you've got the best penalty taker in the world. So I can understand why there was a tension. If you had just done what you did against Ajax, and then were told you're not playing, that would surely be devastating. And for the rest of the team, they would have felt sorry for him. There's no way about it. They'd be like, oh my God, he's got us here. So I can understand where these comments have come from. It's just weird that they're coming out now.
Yeah.
Again, it's just Tottenham Hotspur, and let's have some weird stuff come out.
Yeah, pretty much. But look,
Brian, what's your take on the whole Celso Romero debacle?
1 second, can I just Abdul? I just need to say it's Jewish New Year. There's a lot of Jewish people here. I say Happy Jewish New Year to Jewish people. I have got nothing against Muslims. We Are Tottenham TV have nothing against Muslims, so it's not just us talking about Jewish people. It's Jewish New Year. Give it a break. Give it a goddamn break.
Sorry, has there been a comment or something? I don't
Yeah.
see that.
What's been said?
It's Brian Daigle, always mentioned Jews. If Mo from AFTV got banned for wearing a hoodie with a Palestine flag, then Brian Daigle should be banned from We Are Tottenham TV.
Well, that's uncalled for. No, that's uncalled for comment. Anyway, moving on for that. What was your response? What was your opinion of the whole debacle with Celso Romero?
So, I went on a stream yesterday with Colin, and then I did the kids, and the way I looked at it is, you know what? Forget, like Bosper said, with COVID, this was bound to happen. It was just a case of what game in the world, where was it going to happen? It's too early. We're just coming out of this pandemic, and it really, really shouldn't have happened. And do you know what? And this is going to sound a bit. It doesn't surprise me that it was Brazil-Argentina, kind of like if it was England-Germany kind of thing. The rivalry there, this all happened. And Bob Spur said something that I was mentioning yesterday. Unfortunately, when it comes to this and financial and FIFA, there's life, there's death, and there's money. And with FIFA, money will always win. And it's just a shame that this has happened. We spoke last year when the pandemic was rife, and we said this international break 3 games in is just ridiculous. It is just ridiculous. Whether you start the season a little bit later, and then they get these internationals out of the way, and then we start the season, or they do something like October. There's like an extended kind of international break where they get more games in, and then it's done. Rather than, like you said, I think there's one in October, there's one in November. I think until about December, there's loads till March. It's just uncool. I know they've got to fit it in because of the World Cup and everything. So it's just frustrating. I mean, it was going to happen. It was going to happen. I just didn't know it would be of this magnitude and the way that they walked onto the pitch and everything. But these games shouldn't be going ahead with the risk to the players' health and their families. It just shouldn't.
It's like they waited. Opinion. It's like they waited for COVID to add another game into the international breaks. Just nuts.
Exactly. They did that last time. They third. I mean, Lionel Messi even said, "We've been here for 3 days. Why are you doing this now?" And from what I understand now, I haven't been able to watch a lot of football or read the comments. I've been watching you guys as I always do. And apparently the deal was against Bolivia. These guys weren't even going to play as well. They'll be on a plane. They'll be out. So this it's really, really strange. But what I'm hating is that the Brazilian FA are blaming the Argentinian FA, the Argentinian FIFA. Then it's the Premier League. It's just one huge mess. This was bound to happen, and I just think this should have been planned and made sure that there's no issues straight away. And if there were any issues, you cannot go like the original plan was.
Yeah.
All
right. Brian, absolute pleasure as always. Looking forward to seeing you when you arrive in London, and looking forward to seeing you on the screen for the debut in the studio, which is Wolves away on the 22nd in the Cup.
Are you two both going to the game, or am I with one of you?
You're going to be with John as it stands. I'm unsure further to
You might be one of us, we'll see.
Okay, cool. Whoever I'm with is going to be, like Bob said, an honour, a privilege, and most importantly, I cannot wait to meet you guys and spend some time with you. And then, I will speak to you soon. Enjoy.
Brian, can I just read out a super chat? With someone
of course
just
you can.
Sent you. Nadur just sent you a super chat saying, "Keep your head up, Brian. From a Muslim Spurs fan, you know there'll always be bigots around the club. Keep your head up, lads. Come on, you Spurs."
So I have to say, it's a great time. Like I said, I lived in Israel for 3.5 years. A lot of my friends are Muslim. I love Muslim. I have a lot of Muslim friends. I have nothing at all against anyone, but that dude, before, those people need to be called out rather than just kept quiet. So thank you, my friend. I really, really, really. But I don't know why I keep looking over here, but you know what? I'm getting ready for doing the watch-alongs, and I have someone here, so it's just. But honestly, my man, thank you so much. I wish everyone a superb day, and I'll leave with my usual. Before I say again, a pleasure to be on the show, and as always, Levy out. Laters, boys.
See you soon,
Brian. Nice one.
Yeah, always great to have Brian on. Another super chat here from Gonguma saying, "We love you, Brian Daigle." We all do.
As we do.
Anyone else waiting? All right, so I think that is it for today. So thank you, everyone, for all your comments, for all your views, everyone that came on to have their say as well. Just before I go, a quick super chat from Bolspur TV saying, "You might smell Daigle, but I still love you."
And Callum Carr says, "Question for you, lads. If you could choose any Spurs legend to fit into our current team, who would you choose and why?"
In their prime?
Yeah.
Bale.
Any Spurs legend right now in their prime? I guess Bale in his prime. Yeah, it has to be Bale, wouldn't it?
Bale, Ledley or Modric, one of the three.
Oh, you know what? Might go Modric, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking it the other day, actually.
Modric, oof. We got Hill now, I don't need Modric.
What about Ledley and Romero?
Ooh.
Back two.
What about front three of Son? But we had Son Bale again.
Yeah, but Bale in his prime we're talking.
Prime Bale. Someone said Hoddle. I wouldn't mind that. Wouldn't mind Glenn Hoddle. Man, so many options.
There are so many options.
Stephen Carr.
Gaza.
Gaza.
Gaza in a number 10.
Ooh. Sounds not bad. Not bad at all. Ericsson. Jeez.
A lot of players. Well, maybe we'll do a Good Morning Tottenham.
Exactly.
and of that sort of ilk in the coming days. So, Moussa Dembele, that could be one. But look, everyone, thank you everyone for joining today. That is your Good Morning Tottenham. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.